Did you know there's a difference between wanting something and commanding your mind to conquer it? Most people spend their entire lives wishing, but never learned how to give orders that the mind actually obeys. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the most successful people in the world and discovered they all did one thing others didn't. They didn't negotiate with their own minds, they commanded them. In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly how to do this. But first, write in the comments, what is the first thing you want to conquer when your mind starts completely obeying you? Pay very close attention now, because what I'm about to tell you can completely change how you see everything. Everything you've achieved up to today and everything you haven't achieved yet was decided not by your physical effort, but by how your mind responded to your commands. And here's the truth almost no one has the courage to speak. Either you control your mind or it controls you. There's no middle ground. Think with me for a moment. How many times have you promised yourself you'd start a new habit but didn't make it past the third day? How many times did you say you'd focus but caught yourself distracted, stuck on social media, in immediate pleasures, in excuses? This doesn't happen because you're weak. This happens because your mind is like a wild horse. If you don't learn to tame it, it drags you wherever it wants. Now imagine for an instant, what if you had the capacity to make your mind obey every single one of your commands? Imagine waking up every day full of energy without needing to fight against laziness. Imagine conquering the car or house of your dreams, not in 10 years, but in less time than you imagine, because your mind leads you to create daily habits that build wealth inevitably. Imagine opening your bank account and seeing numbers you only dreamed of before. Imagine living in the house you always desired, traveling to places that previously seemed impossible, and realizing it all began not with money, not with luck, but with a simple adjustment, making your mind obey you. This isn't fantasy. This is psychology. It's exactly what Napoleon Hill taught. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And here's the detail almost no one sees. Wanting isn't enough. You need to program. Your mind functions like a computer. If you learn to install new programs of wealth, discipline, and courage, your entire life changes. And that's exactly what I'm going to reveal throughout this video. Stay with me until the end, because you're going to discover codes that have been hidden from you. Principles that, when applied, can lead you to conquer everything you want. Now tell me, if you could choose just one thing to conquer in the next 12 months, what would it be? Write it here in the comments. I want you to declare your objective, because the very act of writing is already the first step to reprogram your mind. Neuroscience has already proven that your brain creates neural pathways based on what you repeat. If you always give in to laziness, the brain records this pattern as normal. If you always doubt yourself, the brain creates the habit of insecurity. In other words, your mind is trained to obey the past, not the future you desire. Have you ever noticed that many times your mind doesn't work for you, but against you? It's as if there's an internal voice whispering, "Don't start today. Leave it for tomorrow," or "You're not good enough, it won't work out." This voice isn't you. It's the result of years of wrong programming. It's the echo of limiting beliefs you absorbed without realizing it. Now imagine this with me. Every day you wake up and your mind puts you on autopilot. You brush your teeth the same way, have coffee the same way, grab your phone the same way, and when you realize it, the day is already over. And the question is, who programmed this autopilot? It wasn't you. It was years of experiences, fears, comparisons, criticisms that molded you without asking permission. But here's the detail almost no one sees. This same autopilot can be reprogrammed. Just as you learn to be dominated by laziness, you can teach your mind to act with discipline. Just as you learn to live with fear, you can teach your mind to live with courage. The mind doesn't distinguish what's true from what's repeated. What you repeat, it accepts as truth. Now pay very close attention to me, because here's the key. There's a secret that differentiates those who conquer the impossible from those who spend their whole lives just dreaming. The power of repetition. Pay very close attention to this, because it could be the biggest game changer of your life. The human mind is like fertile ground. Every time you repeat a thought, you plant a seed in this ground. The first time might seem weak, invisible, without effect. But when you repeat it day after day, the root begins to take hold, and suddenly what before seemed like mere imagination begins to become reality. Neuroscience confirms this. Each time you repeat a behavior or thought, a new neural pathway is created in your brain. At first, this pathway is like a fragile trail in the middle of a forest, but the more you travel through it, the stronger and clearer it becomes, until one day it becomes the main road of your life. Now imagine, you always believed that earning a lot of money was impossible, but when you start repeating every day that you're capable, that you deserve it, that you can, your mind begins to accept this as natural. And something incredible happens. What seemed unreachable starts to seem obvious, real, inevitable. The impossible begins to lose its power over you. That's why Napoleon Hill taught, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It's not magic, it's repetition. You train your mind until the idea of failure is replaced by the certainty of victory. You train until doubt is swallowed by faith. You train until the impossible bows before the discipline of your daily repetition. Think about great champions, entrepreneurs and visionaries. None of them started believing they already had everything. They started by repeating to themselves that it was possible, even when the whole world said it wasn't. They repeated it so much that their minds no longer accepted the idea of failure. Now imagine applying this to your life, waking up every day, repeating images of victory, phrases of power, habits of discipline. In a short time, your mind will no longer resist. It will obey. And what seemed impossible, what seemed distant, will start to seem not just possible, but inevitable. Now I need you to understand something crucial. Most people never get to conquer anything great because they always fall into the same trap. A silent, deadly trap that kills dreams long before they're born. This trap has a name: premature quitting. Have you noticed how many people start a gym in January and by February have already abandoned it? How so many buy personal development books but never get past the 3rd chapter? Or how millions of people make New Year's resolutions and within days return to the same old habits? This doesn't happen because they lack capacity. This happens because the mind, when pressured, reacts with resistance. Neuroscience explains it. When you try to change a habit, your brain understands this as a threat. It begins sending signals of discomfort, tiredness, laziness. And most people interpret this discomfort as a sign to stop. But actually it's the opposite. It's a sign that you're on the right path, breaking old patterns. Here's the detail almost no one sees. Initial discomfort is proof that reprogramming has begun, and it's at this point that most people quit. They stop precisely when they were inches away from creating the new neural pathway. Napoleon Hill called this quitting inches from the gold. How many men and women didn't abandon their dreams at the very moment they were about to have the biggest breakthrough of their lives? How many let fortune, health, and powerful relationships slip away because they couldn't endure the discomfort phase? Now imagine with me, what if you were one of the few who don't quit? What if when your mind starts to resist, you smiled and said, "This is a sign that I'm becoming unbreakable"? You wouldn't just overcome resistance, you'd use discomfort as fuel for your transformation. Now pay very close attention, because what I'm about to reveal here is what separates great conquerors from those who spend their whole lives in mediocrity. There's a simple but powerful code that transforms any person into someone unstoppable. This code is called daily consistency. It's not talent that wins. It's not luck. It's not the magical opportunity that suddenly appears. What builds wealth, discipline, and purpose is the capacity to continue every single day. Even when there's no motivation, even when there are no applause, even when no one believes in you. Modern psychology confirms the human brain creates identity from what you repeat. If you insist on acting, your mind begins to believe you are that disciplined person. Each time you keep the promise you made to yourself, you engrave in your subconscious the message, "I am someone who doesn't give up." And over time, quitting stops being an option. Imagine this with me, a man who decides to wake up early every day to work on his objectives. At the beginning, the bed pulls, the body aches, the mind resists, but he goes anyway. On the 10th day, it's still hard. On the 30th, it starts becoming automatic. On the 90th day, it's no longer effort, it's identity. He doesn't need to convince himself to continue. He became the type of person who continues. Napoleon Hill taught that the difference between those who achieve success and those who fail is in one detail: the persistence to keep going, even when everyone else has already stopped. Think about the greatest entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders. None of them reached the top through a stroke of luck. They got there because they refused to stop. And here's what almost no one sees. If you're consistent, you become unstoppable. It doesn't matter if results take time, if people doubt, if life tries to knock you down. The world cannot resist someone who never stops. Now imagine your life a year from now if you applied this key. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing someone completely transformed, with bulletproof habits, a stronger body, a sharper mind, growing finances. Imagine realizing you built this not with great leaps, but with small steps repeated every single day. Now the moment has come to talk about what actually defines whether you'll conquer everything you desire, or continue repeating the same results. Your beliefs. Think with me. Everything you believe about yourself transforms into invisible orders that your mind faithfully fulfills. If you believe you don't deserve to prosper, your subconscious will create sabotages to maintain that truth. If you believe it's difficult to earn money, your mind will find ways to make that real. It's as if your beliefs were internal laws, and the mind never disobeys. But here's the detail almost no one sees. Beliefs aren't absolute truths. They're just repeated programs. What today you consider impossible can become possible when you install a new belief. That's exactly how ordinary people become millionaires, leaders, influencers, high-performance athletes. They weren't born different. They simply repeated new beliefs until the impossible became natural. Neuroscience has already proven it. When you repeat a thought intentionally, the brain begins to create stronger connections, as if it were welding a new reality inside you. And the more you repeat, the more automatic it becomes. That's why people who constantly say, "I can't," never succeed. And those who affirm, "I can," end up finding ways. Now, I want you to do something special that could mark the beginning of a new phase of your life. Write now in the comments the phrase, "I command my mind and my mind leads me to success." It might seem like just a comment, but it's not. When you write, you declare. When you declare, you program. And when you program, your mind begins to align with this new reality. Imagine what it will be like to look back a few months from now and realize that this simple act of declaring was the turning point. That this was the seed planted at the right moment, in the right ground, that began to change your trajectory. And here's the revelation that Napoleon Hill discovered after studying 500 millionaires for over 2 decades. They all had one thing in common that separated them from everyone else. But I'll reveal exactly what that is as we continue this journey together. Now we need to talk about something that will completely change the way you understand your own mind. Most people think the mind is one single thing, one unified voice. But Napoleon Hill discovered something revolutionary. Your mind operates on 3 distinct levels, and each level responds to different types of commands. Understanding this is like discovering you've been trying to drive a car using only one gear when you had access to all of them the entire time. The first level is what Napoleon Hill called the conscious mind. This is the part you're using right now to read these words, to make decisions, to think logically. It's your active awareness. But here's what most people don't realize. The conscious mind is actually the weakest of the 3 levels. It can only hold about 7 pieces of information at once. It gets tired, it gets distracted. It's like the captain of a ship who thinks he's in control, but he's only steering what the crew below deck allows him to steer. The second level is the subconscious mind. This is where your beliefs live, your automatic habits, your emotional patterns. Napoleon Hill taught that the subconscious never sleeps, never rests, and never questions what it receives. It simply executes. If you've programmed it with fear, it will find reasons to be afraid. If you've programmed it with confidence, it will find reasons to be confident. The subconscious is like the crew below deck, working 24/7, following whatever orders have been installed there, whether you consciously chose them or not. But here's where it gets fascinating. There's a third level that Napoleon Hill discovered most people never access. He called it the superconscious mind or infinite intelligence. This is the level where inspiration comes from, where breakthrough ideas appear seemingly out of nowhere, where solutions to impossible problems suddenly become clear. It's as if there's a universal intelligence that you can tap into when your mind is properly aligned. Now pay attention, because this is crucial. Most people try to change their lives using only their conscious mind. They use willpower, they use force, they try to push through. And it works for a few days, maybe a few weeks, but then they collapse back into old patterns. Why? Because they're trying to command the entire ship, using only the captain, while ignoring the crew that's actually doing all the work. Napoleon Hill taught that true transformation happens when you learn to communicate with all three levels. The conscious mind sets the direction. The subconscious mind executes the journey. And the superconscious mind provides the inspiration and opportunities along the way. When all three are aligned, you become unstoppable. When they're in conflict, you stay stuck. Think about this. Have you ever had the experience where you consciously want to wake up early, but when the alarm goes off, your body just won't move? That's your subconscious overriding your conscious command. Or have you ever tried to think positive, but felt a deep resistance inside, like something was pulling you back? That's the subconscious fighting against the conscious mind because it hasn't been properly reprogrammed. Here's the revelation that changed everything for those Napoleon Hill studied. You can't force the subconscious to change, but you can reprogram it. And when you do, everything becomes effortless. The discipline you had to fight for becomes automatic. The confidence you had to fake becomes genuine. The wealth you had to chase starts flowing toward you. Now let me share something that Napoleon Hill witnessed firsthand. He taught principles of mental command to countless individuals, and he noticed a pattern. Some people would hear the same teachings and transform their entire lives within months. Others would hear the exact same words and see no change at all. What was the difference? The ones who succeeded understood that commanding your mind isn't about shouting louder or trying harder. It's about speaking the language that the subconscious understands. And that language isn't words alone. It's words combined with emotion, with repetition, with absolute conviction. Napoleon Hill explained it this way. Imagine trying to plant a seed in concrete. You can have the best seed in the world, but if the ground isn't prepared, nothing will grow. The same is true for your mind. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if your subconscious doesn't believe them, if there's no emotional connection, if the soil of your mind hasn't been prepared, those words will bounce off like rain on stone. So how do you prepare the soil? This is where Napoleon Hill's teaching becomes pure gold. You must first clear out the weeds. The weeds are your limiting beliefs, your self-doubt, your fear of success. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are more afraid of success than they are of failure. Because failure is familiar. Success means stepping into the unknown. Napoleon Hill taught a specific technique for clearing these mental weeds. He called it the evening inventory. Every night before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive, you review your day and identify every moment where you acted according to your new beliefs and every moment where you fell back into old patterns. But here's the key. You don't judge yourself harshly. You simply observe, you notice, and then you visualize how you'll respond differently tomorrow. Why before sleep? Because Napoleon Hill discovered that the last thoughts you have before falling asleep sink directly into your subconscious without resistance. Your conscious mind, the part that doubts and questions, is shutting down. Your subconscious is wide open, ready to receive. This is when you plant your most powerful seeds. But there's something even more important that Napoleon Hill emphasized, and this is where most people make a fatal mistake. They try to command their mind to bring them money, success, relationships, but they never command their mind to believe they're worthy of receiving these things. And this creates an internal conflict that sabotages everything. Think about it. If deep down you believe you don't deserve wealth, every time an opportunity for wealth appears, your subconscious will find a way to push it away. You'll procrastinate, you'll self-sabotage, you'll create drama or problems that prevent you from receiving. Not because you're trying to fail, but because your subconscious is simply following its programming. I don't deserve this. Napoleon Hill taught that before you can command your mind to achieve anything, you must first command your mind to accept that you are worthy. You must install the belief that you deserve prosperity, that you deserve love, that you deserve success. Not because of what you've done, but simply because you exist. This was revolutionary in his time, and it's still revolutionary now. Now here's where the three levels of mind come together in perfect harmony. Your conscious mind declares the command, "I am worthy of wealth." Your subconscious, through repetition and emotion, begins to accept this as truth, and your superconscious, once aligned, begins to attract opportunities, people and circumstances that reflect this new internal reality. Napoleon Hill observed this pattern in every successful person he studied. They all reached a point where they stopped asking, "Can I?" and started declaring, "I am." This shift from question to statement is the moment when the subconscious stops resisting and starts obeying. But here's the part that 9 out of 10 people get wrong, and this is critical. They try to command their mind using negative emotion. They try to motivate themselves through fear, through anger, through desperation. I need to succeed or I'll be a failure. I have to make money or I'll be worthless. Napoleon Hill discovered that commands built on negative emotion create temporary results at best and complete burnout at worst. The subconscious responds most powerfully to commands built on positive emotion, joy, gratitude, excitement, love. When you can connect your desired outcome with genuine positive emotion, you create a magnetic pull that's almost irresistible. Your subconscious doesn't just accept the command, it becomes eager to fulfill it. Let me give you a practical example of how Napoleon Hill taught this. Instead of saying, "I must make money because I'm broke and desperate," you would command, "Abundant wealth flows to me naturally because I am aligned with prosperity." Feel the difference? The first creates tension and resistance. The second creates openness and attraction. Napoleon Hill also taught that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This is why visualization is so powerful. When you close your eyes and see yourself living in the house you desire, driving the car you want, having the relationship you dream of, and you add genuine emotion to that vision, your subconscious begins to accept it as reality. And once it accepts it as reality, it starts organizing your thoughts, actions, and decisions to match that reality. But visualization alone isn't enough. Napoleon Hill was very clear about this. You must also take action. The superconscious might send you an inspired idea, but if you don't act on it, the connection weakens. The subconscious might guide you toward an opportunity, but if you ignore it, the programming starts to fade. Action is the language that tells all three levels of your mind that you're serious. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized what he called definiteness of purpose. You can't just have vague wishes. "I want to be rich someday" isn't a command, it's a hope. "I command my mind to guide me toward earning $10,000 per month within the next 12 months through ethical service." That's a command. It's specific, it's measurable, it's time-bound, and it gives your subconscious something concrete to work with. Now, if you're still with me, write in the comments, "I command." Just those 2 words, because by writing them, you're beginning to activate the commander within you. You're beginning to shift from someone who wishes to someone who decrees. And that shift, as small as it might seem, is where everything begins to change. Napoleon Hill spent decades teaching these principles, and he saw transformation after transformation. He taught how to speak to the conscious mind with clear intention. He taught how to reprogram the subconscious through repetition and emotion. He taught how to access the superconscious through meditation and inspired action. And those who applied all 3 levels together achieved what others called impossible. But here's what's coming next, and this is where everything accelerates. There's a specific error that 9 out of 10 people make when they try to command their mind, and this error completely sabotages their results, even if they understand the 3 levels, even if they visualize, even if they take action. This one error keeps them stuck in a loop of frustration and failure. And in the next part of this journey, I'm going to reveal exactly what that error is and how to avoid it completely. Now we arrive at the moment of truth, the fatal error that destroys more dreams than any external obstacle ever could. And here it is, raw and unfiltered. Most people try to control their mind instead of programming it. They approach their mind like it's an enemy that needs to be defeated, when in reality, it's a willing servant waiting for clear instructions. Think about this carefully. When you try to control your mind, what are you actually doing? You're using force. You're using willpower. You're gritting your teeth and saying, "I will not think negative thoughts," or "I will not be lazy today." And what happens? The moment your willpower gets tired, everything collapses. You're back to square one, often worse than before because now you've added shame and guilt to the mix. Napoleon Hill discovered something profound. The mind doesn't respond to force, it responds to programming. It's the difference between trying to drag a horse where you want it to go versus training the horse to want to go there itself. One requires constant, exhausting effort. The other becomes automatic, natural, effortless. Here's why this matters so deeply. When you try to control your mind through force, you're actually creating resistance. Your subconscious interprets force as danger, as pressure, as something to fight against. It's a survival mechanism. Anytime you try to force yourself to be different, your subconscious sees this as a threat to your identity and pushes back even harder. But when you program your mind, you're working with its natural design. You're speaking its language. You're installing new software instead of trying to manually override the hardware every single moment. And once that software is installed, it runs automatically. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to fight. You simply become. Napoleon Hill taught that there are specific commands, specific patterns of thought and declaration, that bypass the resistance and speak directly to the subconscious. He called these master commands, phrases and principles so perfectly designed that when repeated with genuine emotion and absolute faith, they reprogram the deepest layers of your mind. Now, before I reveal these master commands, I need you to understand something crucial. These aren't magic words. They're not spells or incantations. They work because of how the human mind is structured. When you repeat a declaration with emotion, with visualization, and with expectation, you're creating a new neural pathway. You're literally rewiring your brain. Modern neuroscience confirms exactly what Napoleon Hill taught a century ago. Neuroplasticity means your brain can be reshaped at any age. Every thought you think strengthens certain neural connections and weakens others. Every belief you hold is just a well-traveled neural pathway. And when you consistently travel a new path, the old one begins to fade. So here's the first of Napoleon Hill's master commands, and I want you to pay very close attention to every word. The universe is my source of support that never fails and arrives at the exact right time. Now let me explain why this specific command is so powerful. First, it shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. Instead of believing resources are limited and you have to fight for them, you're programming your mind to recognize that support is constant and reliable. Second, it removes the anxiety of timing. The exact right time means you stop forcing and start trusting. Your subconscious relaxes and becomes receptive instead of desperate. Napoleon Hill taught that when you repeat this command every morning and every night, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your mind stops seeing the world as hostile and starts seeing it as supportive. And when your perception changes, your experience changes. Opportunities you would have missed suddenly become visible. People who can help you mysteriously appear. Resources show up exactly when you need them. The second master command builds on the first. Abundant sums of money flow to me under grace and ease. Notice the language here. Not, I need money. Not, I'm trying to get money. But, money flows to me. This programs your subconscious to see yourself as a magnet, as someone money naturally moves toward. The phrase, under grace and ease, is critical because it removes the belief that you have to struggle. Napoleon Hill observed that people who believed wealth required suffering actually created suffering in their pursuit of wealth. But those who believed prosperity could be natural and flowing found paths that were efficient and even enjoyable. When you repeat this command, you're not begging. You're not hoping. You're declaring a truth that your subconscious then works to make real. Your actions begin to align. Your decisions begin to shift. Your energy begins to attract rather than repel. The third master command goes even deeper. I am an open channel for prosperity and wealth. This command is about identity. Napoleon Hill taught that you can't consistently perform in a way that's inconsistent with how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you'll find ways to struggle even when success is within reach. But when you program yourself as an open channel, you're telling your subconscious that wealth doesn't just come to you, it flows through you. You become a conduit, not a container. And this eliminates the fear of loss because channels don't hold, they simply allow flow. The fourth master command addresses one of the deepest blocks most people carry. Everything I need appears through natural manifestation. Notice it doesn't say, everything I want. It says, everything I need. Napoleon Hill discovered that when people chase what they want from ego, they often end up exhausted and empty. But when they align with what they truly need, the universe conspires to provide it. The phrase, natural manifestation, removes the burden of figuring out how. You don't need to know the path, you just need to trust the process. And here's the fifth master command, the one that Napoleon Hill said was the most powerful of all. I am prosperity made visible and clear. This is pure identity programming. Not, I will be prosperous someday. Not, I'm working toward prosperity. But, I am prosperity. Mas, when your subconscious accepts this as truth, you stop acting like someone trying to become successful and start acting like someone who already is successful. And the external world has no choice but to mirror that internal reality. Now, here's how Napoleon Hill taught to use these commands. This isn't about mindlessly repeating words. This is a specific protocol, a ritual that activates all three levels of your mind simultaneously. First, you speak the command out loud. This engages your conscious mind and sends vibrations through your body. Napoleon Hill taught that sound has power, that speaking activates energy that silent thought alone cannot access. Second, as you speak, you visualize the reality the command describes. If you're declaring abundant money flows to you, see it. See your bank account growing. See yourself receiving payments. See yourself handling money with ease and confidence. This engages your subconscious through imagery. Third, you feel the emotion as if it's already true. Not the emotion of wanting it or hoping for it, but the genuine feeling of already having it. Gratitude, peace, confidence, joy. This is what creates the magnetic pull. Napoleon Hill discovered that emotion is the language of manifestation. Facts tell but feelings sell, even to your own subconscious. And fourth, you take one immediate action, no matter how small, that aligns with the command. Napoleon Hill was adamant about this. Faith without action is dead. If you declare money flows to you, then immediately do something that someone who receives money easily would do. Maybe you organize your finances. Maybe you reach out to a potential client. Maybe you invest in learning a valuable skill. The action proves to your subconscious that you're serious. Now here's what Napoleon Hill observed in those he taught. The first few days feel awkward. Your mind resists. Old beliefs try to argue. Doubts whisper that this won't work. This is normal, this is expected. This is actually proof that you're disrupting the old programming. If you feel resistance, it means you're doing it right. By day 7, something shifts. The commands start to feel more natural. The visualization becomes clearer. The emotion becomes more genuine. Your subconscious is beginning to accept the new programming. By day 21, Napoleon Hill taught that a habit is formed. The neural pathways are strong enough that continuing becomes easier than stopping. Your mind starts to expect these commands, even looks forward to them. By day 90, transformation is undeniable. People who complete 90 consecutive days of this practice report changes that seem miraculous, but are actually just the natural result of a properly programmed mind. Money opportunities appear, relationships improve, energy increases, clarity emerges. Not because the universe suddenly changed, but because they finally aligned their internal command center with their desired reality. But here's the crucial part, and this is where we separate those who truly transform from those who just dabble. You cannot do this casually. You cannot do it when you feel like it. Napoleon Hill was crystal clear. The mind responds to consistency and conviction, not to convenience and compromise. This is why he taught that the commands must be done at specific times, first thing in the morning before your conscious mind gets cluttered with the day's demands, and last thing at night when your subconscious is most receptive. These aren't arbitrary times. They're strategic windows when your mental programming is most vulnerable to change. Now, I want you to pause for just a moment. Take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in deeply through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Do this 3 times right now. I'll wait. Why did I just ask you to do that? Because Napoleon Hill discovered that breath is the bridge between your conscious and subconscious mind. When you breathe consciously and deeply, you calm your nervous system and create a state of receptivity. You're telling your body and mind, I'm safe, I'm ready, I'm open to new programming. This breath work, combined with the master commands, is what Napoleon Hill called entering the programming state. It's a state where your conscious resistance drops, your subconscious becomes receptive, and your superconscious can deliver inspiration. And it's in this state that the real magic happens. Now here's what's coming in the final part of this journey, and this is what separates those who simply understand these principles from those who actually embody them and live them every single day. I'm going to give you the complete ritual, the exact daily practice that brings everything together. The morning protocol, the evening protocol, and the moment-by-moment mindset that keeps your programming strong no matter what challenges arise. Because knowing the commands is one thing. But having a system that ensures you actually use them consistently, that's what transforms knowledge into results. That's what turns inspiration into manifestation. That's what makes your mind not just obey occasionally, but obey permanently. And that's exactly what we're about to dive into. Now we arrive at the most practical and powerful part of this entire journey. Everything you've learned up to this point, all the principles, all the commands, all the understanding, it all comes together in what Napoleon Hill called the daily ritual of mental command. This isn't theory anymore. This is the exact system that transforms ordinary people into unstoppable forces of achievement. Let me be very clear about something. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary results and those who don't has nothing to do with intelligence, connections, or even talent. It has everything to do with daily ritual. Napoleon Hill observed that every single successful person he studied had non-negotiable daily practices. They didn't practice success when they felt like it. They practiced it like breathing, like eating, like sleeping. It was part of their identity. So here's the complete ritual, broken down into 3 phases: morning command, midday reinforcement, and evening installation. Each phase serves a specific purpose in programming your mind for total obedience to your commands. Phase 1, the morning command protocol. This happens within the first 30 minutes of waking up, before you check your phone, before you engage with anyone else, before the world gets its hooks into your mind. Napoleon Hill taught that the first thoughts of your day set the frequency for everything that follows. This is when you install your commands with maximum power. Here's exactly what you do. Step 1. The moment you wake up, before your feet touch the ground, you take 3 deep breaths and say out loud, I command my mind to guide me toward my highest good today. This isn't a request, it's a declaration. You're activating your conscious mind and alerting your subconscious that you're taking charge. Step 2. Stand in front of a mirror. Napoleon Hill discovered something profound about mirrors. When you speak to your reflection, you bypass some of the mental filters that normally create doubt. You're speaking directly to yourself, and your subconscious receives it with unusual power. Look yourself in the eyes and speak each of the 5 master commands with absolute conviction. The universe is my source of support that never fails and arrives at the exact right time. Abundant sums of money flow to me under grace and ease. I am an open channel for prosperity and wealth. Everything I need appears through natural manifestation. I am prosperity made visible and clear. As you speak each command, Napoleon Hill taught that you must feel it. Not fake feeling, but genuine emotion. How do you create genuine emotion? You visualize proof. As you say, money flows to you, see your bank account. As you say, you're an open channel, feel energy moving through your body. Your emotion is the ignition that starts the engine of manifestation. Step 3. Immediately after the commands, you write your primary goal for the next 12 months. Not what you hope will happen, what you command will happen. And you write it in present tense, as if it's already done. I earn $10,000 per month through valuable service. I live in my dream home surrounded by abundance. I wake up every day with perfect energy and clarity. Napoleon Hill taught that writing activates different neural pathways than speaking. It makes the command more concrete, more real. Step 4. You take one immediate action, no matter how small, that aligns with your command. If your goal involves money, maybe you reach out to one potential client. If it involves health, maybe you do 10 push-ups. If it involves relationships, maybe you text someone with genuine appreciation. The action proves to your subconscious that these aren't just words. They're intentions backed by commitment. This entire morning protocol takes 15 to 20 minutes. Napoleon Hill was asked countless times, "What if I don't have 20 minutes in the morning?" His answer was always the same. "Then you don't have a life. You have a reaction to life. You're letting the world command you, instead of you commanding your world." Phase 2. The midday reinforcement. Most people start strong in the morning, but by midday, they're back in old patterns. The conscious mind gets distracted. The subconscious starts pulling toward familiar behaviors. This is why Napoleon Hill taught the importance of midday reinforcement. Sometime between noon and 2 p.m., you take 5 minutes for what he called the reset. You step away from whatever you're doing. You find a quiet space, even if it's just a bathroom or your car, and you do this. Close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths. With each exhale, you release any tension, any stress, any doubt that has accumulated. Then you speak, either out loud or in your mind, 3 statements. I am still in command of my mind. My morning commands are still active and working. I am aligned with my purpose right now. This takes less than 5 minutes. But Napoleon Hill taught that this simple practice prevents the mental drift that sabotages most people's progress. It's like recalibrating a compass. You make sure you're still pointed toward your true north. Phase 3. The evening installation. This is where the deepest programming happens. Napoleon Hill discovered that the subconscious mind is most receptive in the moments just before sleep. The critical, doubting conscious mind is shutting down. The gateway to deep programming is wide open. This is your opportunity to plant seeds that will grow while you sleep. Here's the exact protocol. 30 minutes before sleep, you eliminate all screens. No phone, no TV, no computer. Why? Because these devices stimulate your conscious mind and close the gateway to your subconscious. Napoleon Hill didn't have to worry about screens in his time, but the principle remains. You need mental quiet to access deep programming. Then you sit or lie down comfortably and you review your day through a specific lens. Napoleon Hill called this the evening inventory, but it's not about judgment. It's about awareness and refinement. You ask yourself 3 questions. Where did I act in alignment with my commands today? Identify specific moments where you were disciplined, where you took action, where you believed in yourself. Replay these moments in your mind and feel gratitude. This reinforces the neural pathways of success. Where did I fall back into old patterns? Notice without shame. Maybe you procrastinated, maybe you doubted, maybe you complained. Just observe it like a scientist studying data. No emotion, just awareness. How will I respond differently tomorrow? Visualize the situations where you fell short, but this time see yourself responding the way you want to. See yourself taking action instead of procrastinating. See yourself confident instead of doubtful. This pre-programs your subconscious for better choices tomorrow. After the inventory, you repeat the 5 master commands one final time, but now in a drowsy, relaxed state. You're not forcing, you're allowing. You speak them slowly with long pauses between each one, letting each command sink deep into your subconscious, like stones dropping into still water. And then, the final step that Napoleon Hill said was absolutely critical. You visualize your ideal life as if you're already living it, not as a distant dream but as your current reality. You see yourself in your ideal home. You feel the emotions of having achieved your goals. You experience the peace, the joy, the fulfillment. And you hold this vision until you drift into sleep. Why is this so powerful? Because your subconscious mind works on whatever you give it before sleep. If you fall asleep scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to others, your subconscious works on inadequacy all night. If you fall asleep visualizing your success, your subconscious works on creating that success all night. Napoleon Hill taught that the subconscious never stops working. It's always processing, always organizing, always creating. The only question is, are you giving it the right commands, or are you letting random inputs program your reality? Now here's what happens when you follow this three-phase ritual consistently. The first week you're building the habit. It feels mechanical, your mind resists. Old patterns try to pull you back. This is normal. Napoleon Hill said that the first week is when most people quit, right when the old programming is fighting hardest to maintain control. The second and third weeks, something begins to shift. The ritual starts to feel more natural. Your subconscious begins to expect it. The commands start to create subtle changes in your thoughts and behaviors. You notice yourself making different choices, seeing opportunities you would have missed before, feeling more confident without trying to feel confident. By the fourth week, the ritual has become part of your identity. You don't have to force yourself to do it. You actually want to do it because you can feel the difference. Your mind is starting to obey, not through control, but through proper programming. By the third month, people around you start to notice changes. They might not understand what's different, but they sense something. You carry yourself differently. You speak with more certainty. Opportunities start appearing that seem like coincidence, but are actually the result of your reprogrammed mind attracting what it's been commanded to seek. Napoleon Hill observed this pattern in hundreds of people, and he noticed something else. Those who reached the 90-day mark almost never stopped, because by then, the results were undeniable. The ritual had proven itself, and they understood that this wasn't something you do until you succeed. It's something you do because you are successful. It's not the tool that creates success. It is success, practiced daily. Now, here's the final piece. And this is what separates true masters from everyone else. Napoleon Hill taught that there will be days when you don't want to do the ritual. Days when you're tired, stressed, busy, or doubtful. These days are not obstacles. They are the most important days, because it's on these days that you prove to your subconscious that your commands are non-negotiable. When you do the ritual on the hard days, you're sending a message louder than any words. I am serious. I am committed. I am unstoppable. And your subconscious receives that message and responds with even more power. Think about the warrior who trains even when injured, the musician who practices even when uninspired, the entrepreneur who takes action even when afraid. This is what builds unshakable character. This is what creates the kind of mind that doesn't just obey sometimes, but obeys always. Napoleon Hill spent his entire life teaching one core truth. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, the commander of your mind. But being a commander requires daily practice. It requires ritual. It requires the discipline to show up for yourself, even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering, even when results haven't appeared yet. Because here's the ultimate truth. The results are already on their way. The moment you start commanding your mind properly, the universe begins to reorganize itself around your new frequency. But there's a delay, like planting a seed and waiting for the harvest. Most people quit during the delay. They plant seeds of success, but harvest weeds of doubt because they abandoned the garden before the fruit could appear. Don't be most people. Be someone who understands that every single day you follow this ritual, you're watering your garden. Some days you won't see anything growing. Some days you'll wonder if anything is happening at all. But beneath the surface, roots are spreading, stems are strengthening, and one day, suddenly, the breakthrough appears. And everyone around you will call it overnight success, never knowing it was the result of 90 days, or 180 days, or 365 days of consistent, unwavering mental command. Now imagine yourself 6 months from now. Imagine you followed this ritual every single day. Morning commands, midday reset, evening installation. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing someone transformed, stronger, more confident, more prosperous, more aligned. And imagine realizing that you built this person one day at a time, one command at a time, one choice at a time. This is available to you, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, right now, today, this very moment. You have everything you need to begin. You have the knowledge, you have the commands, you have the ritual. The only question remaining is, will you use them? Napoleon Hill's final message to everyone he taught was this: the mind is the most powerful force you will ever command. Respect it, train it, program it, and it will take you places you once thought impossible. Your mind is waiting for your command right now. What will you tell it? If this video awakened something inside you, if you finally understood that your mind can become your greatest ally instead of your greatest enemy, then do 3 things right now. First, like this video, because that tells the algorithm that more people need to see this message. There are millions of people struggling against their own minds, not knowing that the solution is proper programming, not more willpower. Second, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because every week we share powerful teachings from Napoleon Hill and other masters of the mind. This isn't just one video. This is the beginning of your complete mental transformation, and we're going to walk this path together. Third, share this with someone who's fighting against their own mind, someone who's trying so hard but not seeing results, someone who needs to understand the difference between control and command. You could be the bridge that changes someone's entire life trajectory. Remember, your mind already obeys commands every single day. The only question is whether those commands are yours or someone else's. The world's commands, society's commands, your past's commands, or your commands aligned with your purpose, your vision, your destiny. Starting today, you choose. Declare with me right now: I am the commander of my mind, and my mind leads me to conquer everything I desire. Welcome to your new reality. Welcome to mental mastery. Welcome to the life you were always meant to live. I'll see you in the next video, where we go even deeper into Napoleon Hill's teachings on turning desire into tangible reality. Your transformation starts now.